Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning.
It's preparation day again.
It is.
Here we are preparing. Just preparing.
I don't know what he's preparing for, but apparently something's going to be a good time.
I was thinking about preparing the smoker. You know, it's summertime. Mm-hmm. Preparing a smoker and putting a little brisket in there or something. And
well, we have brisket.
Oh, well, maybe we should I'll get to marinating that thing and it'll be good. Mm-hmm. Barbecues, you know, it's hot these days.
Yeah, you can always tell when it's hot by what we're wearing on the show, what season we're in.
Yeah.
You know, just saying.
Yeah. No sweaters. No.
Yeah.
No alpaca. I got alpaca sweaters. My beloved wife buys me alpaca sweaters. They're expensive, but they really do.
True.
They not only do they look good, which is part of the reason why my beautiful wife buys them for me, but the other thing is they're very good at insulation. You know, I mean they're warm.
They keep you very warm when it's snowing outside.
Yeah, interesting fact that I learned from you.
Oh.
Yes, alpaca mama.
I don't know where this is going.
Mongolia did a study.
Oh, we went to Mongolia.
Yes, let's go to Mongolia. They did a study, and it's cold in Mongolia. It's really cold. The coldest days are colder than anywhere in I think about anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. And so they were looking years ago at insulation
for their electrical systems.
Yes, they're the wires and stuff like that, and they looked for
They studied every fiber, both natural and synthetic, for insulation properties.
Yeah, and they found the most insulating.
The number one fiber
was polar bears, right?
Yes.
But you can't take polar bear. I mean, there's not enough of them, and
you can't
nobody
pull
raises
them
or anything like that. Yeah.
Send them back out.
So that's kind of an impossibility. It's not a constant.
It's not commercially viable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what was number 2? It was
alpaca.
Alpaca, and so they started insulating their wires with alpaca fiber.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So my sweaters are pretty warm. they insulate.
Facts you didn't need to know.
Yeah. But right now we don't need insulation from warm. We need lack of insulation, I guess.
We had our fundraiser last weekend.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
that was fun.
The recovery homes.
The recovery homes.
Yeah, that was
what
good.
What was it called? Hustle, hope, not dope. Yes, community care, and we they did a lot of really cool fundraising things.
Yeah, they did. And they had the auction, and they had a what do you call it? A raffle. They had lots and lots of prizes for. They had some really cool stuff that they auctioned off.
They did.
Yeah, very cool stuff.
They did.
Even some furniture and some big recreational activities, canoes and things. So yeah, there was some really good donations there, and then they do a ride every morning because Monica's and Mike they have Harleys, motorcycles, and so they did a ride in the morning, and I think they got sponsors for that ride.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then and then we had a big festival in the park.
It was fun.
Basically,
it was fun to watch. And
yeah,
they got guys with cars, and they got those guys that come make the cars go up and down, and that's fun.
Yeah,
it was fun to watch.
And lots of other vendors,
lots
and
of
things,
kids,
and so if you want to donate to that, let's see, is it that one? Yes. So just go to the QR code there, or communitycareteams.org, and you can be part of that fundraiser.
Yeah, invest in helping people.
Yeah, and so the purpose of it is to is for the homes, for the recovery homes that we're doing for people who are coming out of prison, who are coming off of addiction, for veterans who are struggling, and all these demographics that have difficulty finding housing because they have a record, and even if you don't have a prison record, you oftentimes have other things on your record because of your poor behavior from when you were strung out. And so it's very difficult for them.
And we're trying to grow into other things like vets, homeless vets. And we already have been working with homeless, and all those things. They're not. These are not just government subsidized. There are certain subsidies.
Some of them are, but a lot of them are not.
Yes.
And especially here in Idaho, there is minimal subsidies and funding for it.
Yeah.
And so it's always a struggle to find. It's a bigger struggle here to find housing. And there's some groups here that will put a roof over their head. And basically they're like, okay, well, you can stay here. You share your room with one other person, and sometimes 2 or 3 people, depending on how much of a struggle it is to find the housing and what the manager will allow. But there's very little support within that housing structure, and so we're building a housing structure to where all of those other ancillary parts of becoming a productive member of society are put in there. So there's counseling and programs that they go through and they actually graduate from after a certain period of time. There's job hunting. And there's a lot of structure in our homes to help them to learn basic living skills, and coming in and out of. They have to sign in and sign out. We have some what we call house food, which a lot of that is donated so that if they come home and they have no money and they have no food in their little cubby hole for what they stash for themselves, then there's always something there for them to eat. And so there's that. There's chores that they have to do to be a part of the home, and community meetings and places where they can talk things out and get transportation.
They're always job hunting.
They're job hunting.
Most of them are.
And we've been able to employ some of them because they happen to have skills that we need. So it's really fun to be able to do that.
Yeah, which is kind of cool because I get to.
You get to hang out with them.
I get to hang out with them, and I really enjoy myself.
Yes, yeah. So if you would like to be a part of it, that's the QR code. I'll put it up one last time there. And we would love for you to be a part of that. And partner with us in providing the housing for those groups.
Yeah, you handle that stuff quite well there. I like that.
I've been watching you for how many years?
I think I'll have some.
I'm a really slow learner.
I'll have a little bit of coffee to see if my brain will wake up, and we'll do some fun revelatory stuff.
Okay.
I thought we talked today about the ABBA gate. The ABBA gate. A-B-B-A. ABBA.
You mean the band? Are you going to sing?
No, that's funny, isn't it? I don't know why they...
I thought you were going to sing.
No, I'm not going to sing. I don't know how to sing. I just...
Dancing
never mind. What? Oh.
Isn't that one of their...
Rich Carey, he's the one that does Dancing Queen.
Oh, right. We'll get him on for
He does that. Yeah, okay. Well, let's go for it, huh?
Okay. There is a pivotal verse which haunts all of Israel and all of mankind, for that matter, and it's in Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 19. Quote, "Then I said, how I would set you among my sons and give you a pleasant land, the most beautiful inheritance of the nations. And I said, you shall call me my father and not turn away from following me." This scripture is like looking through a window into the heart of Jehovah, creator of all that exists, and the desire of the Most High is heard loud and clear. He wants those who love him to call out to him like a child, to the Father that they love.
Yes.
And from the phrase, "you shall call me," we have one Hebrew word that is like a proclamation. But its context gives the picture of a little child calling out to his or her father for any reason. And that child's heart is calling out with childlike love, emotion, purity, and pointed toward their one and only Father.
Yes.
The next Hebrew word we need to investigate in this message of Jehovah's heart's desire is the word avi, which means my father or daddy. And this Hebrew or Aramaic word is an identification of the only one person in all of creation that can be my daddy.
Important. The only one.
Avi is not a commonly used word with those who speak Hebrew today. And by the 2nd century BC, this word was developed from Aramaic speaking children to Abba, and that was accepted by Hebrew-speaking people as well. In the days of Yeshua, children primarily used the term Abba, as we would use the term daddy. And when Yeshua was agonizing in prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane, he cried out in childlike language, calling to his Abba. This calling out to Abba was Yeshua's emotional dependency and need for his Abba. And he was saying, out of Mark chapter 14, "Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will."
So let me explain the work that I've done investigating this. Months and months of history search of history, etymology of the words, and so on. I found a writer who focused on Avi a little bit, and it gave me a feeling that of understanding that crossover between Old Testament prophet Jeremiah in this case through to Yeshua when he is born and his ministry begins. And so finding the information that you just now read was very difficult, and the reason why is because it's not literal. It is social. It has social structure to it in the sense that you watch words change. Isn't it funny how many every family, each one of you listening right now, if you have children, there are certain words you say in your family that are common to your family that aren't necessarily common to anybody else, and especially what the words are and what they say based upon the child. When the child is learning to walk, talk, and all that stuff, they say the cutest things.
Like little Jacob.
Yes, he said.
When he calls you, is fodder.
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 And every once in a while he would put grand in front of it, but not very often.
Towards the end of it, it was grandfodder. Grandfodder.
And what did he call you? Gamia.
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 Yeah.
Gamia. Gamia. Gamia.
Yes.
See, now those are going to stick.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's kind of natural and it's fun. Okay. So if you just think and go back and see all the different things, the possibilities of, or before you get to the possibilities, let's look at just the facts. The children oftentimes give us new words or change words how they're pronounced and spelled because phonetically, you spell them phonetically. And that's really what we're talking about here. The Aramaic speaking children went from Avi to Abba. And the V is also a B. So they were Abi, Abba, and they're only changing one
sound,
one vowel sound.
Yes,
and which is also the ending syllable, and so it became that within that almost 3 centuries between Jeremiah. And by the time the end of this is on the night in which he was betrayed. You know, he was he was in Gethsemane, and he cries out, "Abba, Father." And then there's also the principle of in this translation, it takes the word Avi and it says, "You shall call me my Father." The word.
Oh, you're talking about Jeremiah.
In Jeremiah, what did I say? Sorry,
no, I just was clarifying. You didn't say.
Okay. So in this important verse in Jeremiah, it says, "You shall call me my Father." Now, my Father is used a lot in English translations, and behind it, it can be Abba. It can be in Old Testament a word that is very close to Avi, a form of Avi, and it has the reason why you know it is because of the possession. Okay, if you say Father is one thing, but if it has possession to it, my Father, then it's nobody else's. You know, right now, and so there's a whole compounding history that's here, which is why I call this a pivotal verse. And when I say pivotal, I'm talking about it, and we just explained it here, that it's a place where you see into the heart of the Father. You know, you see, there's lots of verses like that we pass over. We don't quite understand it until we put that principle into it, you know?
So am I remembering correctly that calling Jehovah Father was not common in the Old Testament?
No, it's not.
And
not common. It's there, but it's not common.
And so I remember a discussion that Nehemiah Gordon had about in looking at what we commonly call the Lord's Prayer in the New Testament, and having it begin with Our Father. That's not something that the Hebrew people did.
Yes.
They didn't call him Daddy.
Right.
They didn't call him Father. And so he had to go back through the Old Testament and the Torah to find those rare places where it happened. And it was such a revelation and a joy to him to find that, because he says, I can enter into Yeshua's teaching because it's there in the Torah.
It actually is there.
Yeah, but it's not common, and so but obviously in Jeremiah it's there, and there's a couple of other places where it is.
Yes.
And so for the Hebrew people to call God our Father is not commonly done.
Right.
The way that we do in our Western Christianity type of thing.
I believe in all of my research through the decades along those lines, there's a reason why, and the reason why that is not because they're not trying not to. It's that they were so out of his name that the inference is to know and understand through Torah, which is teaching, that through study, they study the name and they realize what the name itself accomplishes against all those other sons of God and the right. principal spirits who have names. And like, for instance, we've said many times, if you hang out with us, you'll hear us talk about every day of the week, rather, is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All of those are idol names.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yes.
And we're constantly saying idol names. Society worships idols, and so therefore they worship their names. All right, well, Israel was doing that.
and is still doing
and is still doing that today.
Not in the days of the week, because interestingly, in our mostly in our Romance languages that came from Latin is the ones that use those names. When you look at Arabic and Asian languages and Hebrew, all of them use day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, just like it does in the Scripture. So that's pretty interesting. And
influence has done that too. For instance, prior to Babylonian exile, the months of the year were 1 through 13.
Yes.
Today, they all have names that came out of Babylon.
Right.
So they've got Babylonian names. So now you're familiar with Judaistic teachings and calendar, and what you're saying is a Babylonian name for that month.
Right.
But originally that wasn't the case. Okay, just so you know your history, that still have fun with it, but I'm just telling you the history of it and how it comes about. And the principle here is I believe that ultimately, from God's heart standpoint, from the standpoint of our Heavenly Father's heart, He's placed that into being to open His heart, to take ownership. Let's look at this verse again, because it's such a cool verse. Then I said, how I would set you among my sons and give you a pleasant land and the most beautiful inheritance of the nations. And now I'm going to do that, and I'm going to say this: you're going to call me my father, Avi, and not turn away from following me. So there's a difference in I don't know, formal structure, father, mother, but then when you realize only our children can get away with Abba, Ima, okay, and the same thing with grands and great grands.
Yes.
Okay, there's a familiar entrance. And like a story I've told many, many moons ago, even when my children were small, I used to tell the story of, I used my eldest daughter, Katie, as an example. When she said, "Daddy boy," she could have the world. It didn't matter what it was. It was she didn't know that. I never told her, because that would have been dangerous and possibly manipulative. And she didn't know it until she was older and heard me preaching about it. And still to this day, every once in a while, over the course of the last couple of years, she's used that term, and now I know. She's not trying to get permission from anything. She doesn't need any permission. She's a full-on adult with children of her own. Okay, but what it is you've been on my mind. You've been on my heart.
Yeah.
And so there's this place when she says, "Daddy boy," it opens. It opens. It's formal till then. There's some kind of formality of. Social authority and caretaker and all that stuff that goes into play. But then when that name comes as a child, then suddenly it opens up the heart. Yeah. These are matters of the heart, right? Yeah. So let's look a little bit farther into this.
So we need to slow down a bit when reading this cry from the heart of Yeshua. By doing so, we can capture the childlike purity of love for Abba. And then the question of obedience disappears with, "Yet not what I will, but what you will." Yeshua wasn't in any hurry when approaching and talking and praying to his Father. Listen what he says: "Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me. And this is where Abba's presence wraps him and encompasses him. Luke 22:43 tells us that an angel from heaven appeared to him, strengthening him.
Isn't that something?
The presence then causes the obedience phenomenon. The language of prayer cannot be discounted, even though the heart is the tell-all of effectiveness. Our language matters because it either initiates the intent of our heart or it hides the contents of our heart. What we say is essential when it comes forth from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Adam chose fig leaves to hide the nakedness of what was in his heart. Fig leaves are fashionable, and they come in many colors and styles. We talk, and our words do not reveal what is actually in our hearts. It is the cover-up of our identity, what and who our heart says we really are.
So now we're getting to some of the structure of our hearts, mm-hmm. so that we're not overplaying or improperly using that which is the obligate, the intensity of relationship that is there. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're always covering up, or let's say this: we're not always. We're mostly covering up.
Well, and I think sometimes though we don't know who we are.
Identity crisis.
So there's an identity crisis there, and we don't see ourselves the way. Well, we don't see ourselves at all sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet He sees us. You know, when Jesus found the blind man that had been blind from birth, mm-hmm. the Scripture says, "And Jesus saw the blind man." And I don't think we ever stop and see to realize how profound that statement is.
Mm-hmm.
And He saw the blind man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He sees you when you can't see Him.
Yeah, that's good.
And when you cannot see yourself.
Yeah.
The blind man had never seen Jesus. He had no hope of ever seeing Jesus. And he had never seen himself either. And yet it says, and Jesus saw the blind man.
That's wonderful.
He sees you when you can't see anything.
Yeah.
When you're stuck in your own darkness, that you can't see anything, He sees you. And like He said to Nathanael, I saw you under the fig tree. Mm-hmm. He was in that place. I don't know if you saw The Chosen, and that episode where he's under the fig tree and he's like, do you even see me?
Yeah.
And he's weeping there because of the frustration of everything that was going on. And Jesus came to him and He said, I saw you under the fig tree. He saw him when Nathanael couldn't see himself and he couldn't see Jesus.
Only one person would have said that.
Yeah.
The one who saw him.
And He sees you when you cannot see yourself. And you have no hope of seeing yourself.
You know, being involved with teaching intercession, successful intercession, moving mountain stuff that we've been doing for so long, it's important. We find out information that other people don't know when people are interceding. And I can't, the countless number of times that someone tells me that they were awakened in the middle of the night to pray earnestly for someone. And that's not one of the family, there's not one of the...
Not somebody they even know, really.
Sometimes it's not even somebody they really know. And it tells me through the decades, I've learned that Jehovah, the Holy Spirit, will put upon people the surrounding love of other people without the family knowing. The family thinks they're struggling through this thing with all they've got, and they're all they have. And they often say, I've even heard people pray, Father, you know, like you were saying, does anybody even see me? Nathaniel. And they have that same kind of mentality, help, and they don't realize that we're like never alone.
Right. And so in the
we really are not.
In the blindness of all of the things that are in our lives that are not working according to the kingdom, he sees you.
Yeah.
He says, and it says, and Jesus saw the blind man.
Yeah.
Who had been blind from birth. He had never seen anything.
Yeah.
And it's to me, looking at that, it's very profound.
Yeah.
We gloss over it and we go into the story of the healing, and he was able to see, and we just gloss over that sentence. And Jesus saw, okay, well, just an introduction into that. But wait, let's stop and look at that. He saw the blind man.
Yeah. He saw the blind man
who could not see anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So
words are not magic.
No.
We talk and our words don't reveal what is in our hearts, because sometimes we don't even know what that is. We don't even know the pain that's in there and why it's there.
Yeah.
And so we're covering up an identity that we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And so words are not magic. They can be quite powerful. However, that word which a small child calls his father can ultimately yield the attention of the father to the child.
Well, that right there, I think, is a really important statement, especially in context with what we're saying. Can you read that again?
Words are not magic. Words can be quite powerful, however. That word which a small child calls its father can ultimately yield the attention of the father to the child.
You watch a father or mother working. They got all kinds of things to do in life, but there's a child. And they're doing these things, and the child says. And all of a sudden, all these things don't matter as much as the child. Right? And that's a shift that takes place. It's actually a paradigm shift from sometimes they're solving world problems. They're trying to, they got things happening that
the issues of life
and all those issues of life, and sometimes they're pretty serious. But when the child cries out, that's the shift takes place. The shift of the heart takes place.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we are most vulnerable with our Heavenly Father, He yields His great heart towards us, and His presence empowers us. The decisive moment is when the Father's great heart of love turns and envelops us. His attention comes when our defenseless childlike heart is revealed to Him, whereby we cry out, Abba, Father.
Abba, Father.
It is probable that the Gospel according to Matthew shows this Abba principle in a slightly different way. Matthew 26, and he went a little beyond them and fell on his face, and he prayed, saying, My Father.
Notice my ownership. Go ahead.
If it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. And from the Hebrew, and he went a little further and bowed his face, and he said, My Father, if it is a possible thing, remove this death from me. However, not according to my will, only to yours.
Now, the death that he was talking about isn't the one we would say.
Right.
This is the spirit of death. This is the death of all deaths. It was what he was about to defeat for us.
Right.
It's serious business.
So here in Yeshua says, My Father with possession. Of course, he would have spoken in Hebrew, but the account was translated from Hebrew to Greek and so on. And the key word that shows the relationship of a child to the father is the possessive word for my. And Yeshua says, My Father, which leads us to believe that in Hebrew, he may very well have cried out, Abba. There are also numerous times that Yeshua calls to his Father where translators use the Greek word
pater.
But the sentence structure and the context in Hebrew sometimes shows that he probably would have said Abba.
Yeah. And again, that's probable. highly probable, based on social development of those words at the time. By the time you come through to New Testament times, the language, the Hebrew language, has developed. It has evolved, and so when the possession comes, avi, mine, when Yeshua teaches in the Sermon on the Mount, or his disciples who ask him how to pray, he says, when you pray, say, Our Father. The word "our" there is possessive. It's that. If you're going to pray, you want the attention. You want the gate to open. You know, that story about King Solomon and bringing the Ark of the Covenant into its place, and the gates wouldn't open, and he prayed 127 or some kind of different. I don't know how many numbers, how many it was. It was crazy, the number of formulated prayers to get that thing to open, and still it stayed closed. And then he said, "My father David."
But it was a heart cry.
It was a heart cry.
Yeah.
And as soon as he mentioned his father David, they opened up and the angels sang. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
The angels sang glory, and in they walked with the Ark of the Covenant, and the Shekinah glory came, and that's a beautiful, a really beautiful story. But and people say, well, you got to say the right words. No, you got to be in the right place. You
got to have the heart cry.
You got to have the heart. You got to be in the heart when it comes to the presence. And I'm a little bit. I'm not. I want to be careful with what I say here, but oftentimes, because the Apostle Paul uses in Romans chapter 8, he speaks of whereby we cry out, Abba, Father, and there's been some teaching just from there. That's all that's pretty much all that Western preachers preach on, and they don't understand what the things we're saying here, and oftentimes we get the idea that we commonly call him by our familiar terms, and that's I don't think that's a good idea. And the reason why is, if your child constantly calls you by that word that they have, that is theirs, their possessive, their possession of your heart word, pretty soon you're not listening to it anymore. And pretty soon it's so common to you. And so I don't say Abba. I don't say a common word for father unless this is serious. And the reason why is because I want that gate to open.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't want. I'm not testifying of it to the world. These are not testimonies to the world. My relationship with the heart of the Father is not a testimony to the world. It's what gets me to His heart, so that I can testify to the world.
Right.
And so and it doesn't show. It's not for the purpose of showing people how close I am to Him. That isn't.
It's a private thing.
It's a private thing. It very much is. Now, if you're with a group of people and you're praying with them, obviously it's apropos to use possession and Abba, the because we are yours. But make sure it's we are yours in. And keep the sanctity of it. I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just keep some sanctity in it. No law here. I'm not making a new law up. just keep the. It's so special,
Keep it special.
Keep it special. Yeah.
There are numerous times that Yeshua calls to his Father where translators use the Greek word, we did that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Childlikeness, it takes a prominent position in kingdom dialogue. I am deeply moved by the way that we see Yeshua treat the children around him. Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And he uses an actual child in this valuable lesson and explains that a true believer is one who returns to being a child in approach to the Creator. Mm-hmm. And the kingdom responds to childlikeness, well, not childishness.
Yeah, not childishness, but childlikeness.
Malachi reports to us that, "Behold, I am going to send you Elijah the prophet, and he will restore the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, so that I will not come and smite the land with a curse." The Hebrew word for land is eretz, and the promised inheritance of the beautiful land. And I can see the relative words of hearts, fathers, children, and land as paramount aspects of the believer's relationship with our Abba, Father, and the inheritance of the kingdom of heaven that he promises us.
Mm-hmm.
That which I have called the pivotal verse of Jeremiah shows that the heart of the Father wants his children to love him personally and purely with affection. Yeshua Messiah teaches that children are the greatest of believers in the kingdom of heaven. And then the Apostle Paul teaches us that we have been given the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry out, Abba, Father.
So we have that spirit of adoption that puts that closeness together. Mm-hmm. That it gives, suddenly you don't know there's a gate, and all of a sudden there's a gate. Mm-hmm. And it's Abba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our obedience has phenomenal manifestation if we were encapsulated in the love of the Father's presence. Our hearts grow big and extend beyond borders, and miracles of the kingdom of heaven take place. The evidence tells us that our Creator wants our attention from the place of purity of devotion as a childlike heart, mind, and expressions of his love. His entire kingdom operates on our behalf when we call out Abba.
Mm. Yes.
Jehovah has always longed for his children to stay with him. Let's look again at this verse in Jeremiah 3:19 that I would call pivotal. And then I said, I would set you among my sons and give you a pleasant land, the most beautiful inheritance of the nations. And I said, you shall call me my Father and not turn away from following me. So this verse reveals Jehovah's heart. He longs to keep his children close, and he wants to give them a pleasant and beautiful land.
That's right.
The closeness comes by our desire not to leave his presence and to call upon him as Abba.
Yeah, so pivotal, when I say pivotal, I teach on pivotal verses. I have for decades all over the world, and I find those like this that are not, they're usually not ones that are memorized. Mm-hmm. Most people don't see them. Mm-hmm. Like this one here, that's a pretty powerful verse when you take it apart. Mm-hmm. And we're purposely not showing what's before it or what's after it.
Right.
It's context, because it looks almost out of context, but it fits quite well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And its context is very interesting too. Mm-hmm. So, but pivotal means that it's change. It has life-changing, paradigm shifts. It will shift things in the spirit, and there are those pivotal verses I look at are the ones that reach into his heart. Because if you talked to Jehovah heart to heart, that's when things start happening on the inside of you. And on the inside of people around you, and even inside your world, and the reason being is the atmosphere changes when you're surrounded and encapsulated by the heart of Abba, and He is your Abba. He is my Father, and realize this: only the child, only the pure child, by the Spirit, the Holy Spirit of adoption, only that one has that kind of a place of a listening heart with the Father of all creation.
Right.
and it's like it's an only thing.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to treat it religiously and harshly and hard and all that sort of thing. And that's very difficult talking about it because people think religiously already, and they'll take our words and try to change things in their life and make it a religious thing. And boy, that's so far from what we're sensing, feeling, and what we experience.
Right. Yeah.
You know? So pivotal verse tells us those, in my mind, it tells us those things, you know?
So the land is real, but it also makes a great analogy of our kingdom prosperity. All creation has the element of the Creator's voice in it. Its planned purpose is the will of the heart of the Father of all creation. All creation works intricately together from the heart of the Father of creation. One might say that it is the organics of creation that take place because of the imprint of the Creator's will. It is like a massive blueprint for eternity, and is not dissimilar to our understanding way of how DNA is a kind of blueprint.
Yeah. Recently, we had a friend ask the question. Wayne asked me a question. He said, Wayne, does the Bible say how often we should take the table of Jehovah? And I said, as often as you do. And he knew I was quoting a verse.
Yes,
okay, as often as you do. Often says often, and when we are to remember the Lord's death until He comes. We are to remember, I Jehovah, your Elohim, rescued you from Egypt, and Egypt is not a nation. It's not used in the Bible as just a nation. Egypt is a way of life that is against God,
right.
And so we need to understand that we love Egyptian people, and we love Egypt, and there's beautiful things about Egypt, and there's beautiful believers there. Wow,
yes.
There's some on fire believers there.
Right.
But so we're not talking about that place or their homeland. We're talking about it was a way of life that worshipped idols, and idols were in control, and they were supernatural. Remember Aaron threw down the staff and it turned to a serpent?
Yes.
And then those idol priests threw down their staffs, and they all turned in. Now, Aaron's
staff gobbled them up.
Yeah, gobbled them up. But the fact of the matter is, they were doing spirituals.
Right.
Spiritually, it was, and the reason why that's given to us in the Scriptures is to tell us they were nothing to be playing with. That we shouldn't be playing with those kinds of things. Yeah. And there's a separation and designation that goes on where Jehovah, at the table of Jehovah, He separates and designates. First of all, this family has the blood on the doorpost and lintel of the house. Therefore, it's family. All right. This family is having a feast on the inside. It's family.
Right.
It does it because of family. This family has a lamb on the inside. Why is that? Because it's family. It's His family, and He's the supplier. And He says, He takes the bread, and He said, and He gives thanks, and He says, this bread is my body, which is for you, which relates to John chapter 6. I've been reading this week John chapter 6, and it's hard words because of this. I've been partaking of the table, and especially looking at the bread and focused on the bread because He talks about it in John chapter 6 and who He is to us. He actually tells them He is the manna that came down out of heaven. And He relates it to that. We were with a group of intercessors we took to the Middle East, and we saw those hills, those very hills. We've got pictures of standing in a place, and you can see Aaron's tomb over there, and probably how far would it have been? Do you think? You remember it?
I don't know. I'm not good with distance.
Yeah,
it's on the next hill.
It's on the next hill. You can see it
with a valley
right
in between.
Yeah, and you can see where the millions of people were were there when they entombed Aaron. Mm-hmm. And yet we're on the King's Highway here, mm-hmm. and those are the hills on the King's Highway, mm-hmm. where they would have in the morning looked as the sun was rising, and they'd see the glory of the manna, mm-hmm. and it shimmered, mm-hmm. and it was they were seeing glory give unto them what, or provide unto them what they needed. Mm-hmm. And so he also is that unto us. And when he gives us his body, it's why often? Because we need more than, we need the proclamation, declaration, that paradigm shift of relationship. Mm-hmm. My Abba gave me his only begotten Son. Mm-hmm. And when we look at that gate that of his presence that opens up, and gate is only we just use that, mm-hmm. that as an example of opening up, meaning, I forget the word, but just take that with a kind of a feeling, a kind of a mm-hmm. sense of it's not precise or anything like that. I'm sorry, I can't think of the word. But it's a likeness to, an analogy, a type and a shadow, you could say. That's all we're using gate as, okay? Mm-hmm. So don't get wrapped up in the gate part. But it's an opening. Something, it feels like something opens. That's what we're saying. It feels like if there's any restraint, it's gone. Mm-hmm. As soon as we come back and relate to our family. And this table of Jehovah is family. It's never been, it was illegitimate to put it in the basilica. Mm-hmm. And these handled by irresponsible men who called themselves holy. Mm-hmm. That's wrong, mm-hmm. on so many levels, and it stole family from us. Mm-hmm. And never were for centuries, for millennia. It was taught, you don't do anything in like this. You don't have this in family, and you would not even annually celebrate Passover, because that would be Judaistic, mm-hmm. and they were so anti-Semitic, mm-hmm. that you couldn't get to heaven if you were Judaistic. Right. That's what the popes actually said that. Yes. Uh-huh. Okay, so. What we're saying is we're back to family, and family is our remembrance, and mm-hmm. and how often, how about 100 times a day or so, you know? It just because there's a lot of stuff going on, right. A lot of stuff to take me away from family, mm-hmm. and maybe my family feeling of him with me, walking with me, mm-hmm. is more important than all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what gives me the ability to overrule the false authorities of life. Mm-hmm. And so he took the bread and he gave thanks, and he said, "This is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And that's exactly what we do. And then he took the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is a new covenant of my blood." This is the family, the bloodline. It is the blood that also is, as we've said many times before, it's the blood that speaks in the courtrooms of heaven, and it speaks louder than even the blood of righteous Abel, according to the book of Hebrews. And now we partake, and we are with, and our family relationship is because of blood. We cry out, Abba, Father, because the Holy Spirit is our spirit of adoption, and we're adopted, and this blood that we partake of says and marks the house for adoption to him. Mm-hmm. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. That's not as good as Shanta's, but
it's there.
It's there. 100% Welch's.
There you go.
I read that yesterday. It said 100% Welch's. I thought, No, I want 100% grape.
Exactly.
So, Abba, Avi, important things to remember in your relative relationship. We say praying and that kind of, but your talk with him, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, anyway.
Your celebration of Shabbat.
That's right. It's Shabbat in Jerusalem right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's preparation day here. Mm-hmm. We're preparing, and then we're going to have a beautiful Shabbat, eh?
Yep.
All right, his name, Yehovah, be upon all of you. We love and appreciate you, and thanks for watching.